Now that's some spicy lighting.
What's he unboxing? What'd it be? Well, I don't know. Shut up and see.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel for this quick Lividian Robert McCammon 7 Shades of Evil unboxing. I hope you don't mind. I already took the liberty of taking the book out of the box and then out of the shrink wrap and then arranging my shelf because I just couldn't wait, couldn't do it. And you should know that all processes were followed. The Dragon Lord ate, everything was fine, the book was in great condition. So there's nothing really unusual to report, although I will say Brian James Freeman is making innovations with the form-fitted foam. As you could see, where there were finger holes here, he is now cutting to fit into the foam. So the form-fitted foam is like an enclosure now. It actually locks into place, which is cool. So I didn't know if that was noteworthy, but I'm making note of it. So what about the book? Well, if you saw my meet and greet with Robert McCammon back in whatever, December, I got a signed trade edition of 7 Shades of Evil from Alabama Booksmith, and I got to hear Robert McCammon talk about the book, read an original story that he wrote just for the event. Then he raffled off that story, gave it to somebody at the event. You'll never get that story in print because now that fan owns it. But this was the trade edition. Very cool, but no bells and whistles other than the signature that I got from Robert McCammon at the event. So that's what makes this edition very special to me. But while I was getting that done, I knew I had this on pre-order. This is 7 Shades of Evil, Robert McCammon. These are actually 8 stories in the Matthew Corbett world. Kind of a tearful penultimate volume because these are all stories of characters in the Matthew Corbett series that don't necessarily get their own stage during the series. And Robert McCammon thinks very fondly of these characters, and he wanted to give them their own spotlight in their own individual character-driven short story. This is his way of saying goodbye to these characters before he writes and publishes Leviathan, which will be the final Matthew Corbett book. And I am currently scurrying my way through the rest of the series. I read Speaks the Nightbird, Queen of Bedlam, and now I'm currently reading Mr. Slaughter. So my plan is to get everything read before Leviathan, to get that palette cleansed, to have nothing but the anticipation of the final book and read it when it's published and live a life free from the fear of spoilers, even though nobody really spoils the Robert McCammon stuff. Anyway, here it is. Typical die-cut window in the slipcase. This is a very nice slipcase. There is the art of the dust jacket. You have Matthew. I assume that's Matthew, and maybe he's riding Dante. I don't know. I'm only on Mr. Slaughter. I got to read River of Souls, Providence Rider, Cardinal Black, Freedom of the Mask, King of Shadows. I got a lot of reading to do before I can get to this even. So this is the limited, and I will do photos at the end comparing to the trade. There is the naked book. I already got all the gasps out when I saw this. Like, oh, ribbon page marker. There you go. Signature sheet. I have 566, which matches my King of Shadows and will match my Leviathan, the only 3 limited editions that in the Matthew Corbett series that Lividian is going to publish. So I'll have a matching set of all 3. Of note, this art is the only art that is in the trade edition. It's the story divider pages have that art, and that's the entirety of the art in the trade edition. But this is the limited edition, so you're going to get pieces like this, and this Cyclops-looking dude through the book. So I will say the type in the limited edition is bigger, and the page design is more generous, and it has the art. So instead of reading the trade edition, that's as was my plan. I'm probably going to want to read the limited edition in this case. I think it'll be a much nicer, luxurious reading experience. And the trade edition is a signed first edition trade edition, which is just going to be a collectible in my collection. You know, it's a trophy, if you will. But this will be my reading copy, the more expensive one. A fun thing somebody pointed out on the Facebooks is that with this die cut, you're supposed to see, you know, Matthew on the horse through that window. But if you flip the book around and you put it in reverse, you get Robert McCammon peeking at you like, why are you in my house? Why are you in my house? I got a restraining order, man. Jeff, I told you I'm not giving you that interview. Now leave. That's exactly what he looks like when he looks at me through his window. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of a lot of fun. One cool thing with Lividian doing the limited edition and the trade edition paperback is that Brian James Freeman is doing different artwork for each edition. Now, I don't think the trade edition paperbacks in the works anytime soon. I could be wrong about that. It's not on my radar because I had the limited and the trade edition and I'm a hardcover boy. But I should maybe consider collecting the trade paperbacks since 4 of the books in the series I only have as paperbacks: Mr. Slaughter, Providence Rider, Freedom of the Mask. I have Cardinal Black as the hardcover as well. So it might be cool to get all of them in paperback as well. And then when Robert McCammon shows up at these events, I can get them signed by him. So I get a matching set of paperbacks. Something to think about. I'll put that in the file for future reference, especially considering I got all my other paperbacks signed by Robert McCammon when I was there for the 7 Shades book launch. But right now I'm happy with the hardcovers, and you could see here the difference, the limited and the trade. There's a lot there. There's a higher page count, and that's not just the art. It's a bigger font, more generous page margins, and all the higher grade paper that creates that bulk. And if you recall my past unboxings, I also have the King of Shadows limited edition. I'll do the photos at the end so you can see what they look like on the shelf side by side. Very happy to have them. I think Lividian is killing it with the Robert McCammon titles. You could tell Robert McCammon's Matthew Corbett series is with a publisher who loves those stories and is doing wonderful things with the editions they're producing. So I couldn't be happier. I'm sure Robert McCammon couldn't be happier. And I can't wait for Leviathan. And if you haven't read the Matthew Corbett series, it's a lot of fun. Jumping back into Mr. Slaughter is seriously a time machine. Total escapism. You just slip right back out of 2024 and into 1702 colonial New York. Not that I was really there, and so I have a frame of reference, mind you. I'm taking Robert McCammon's word for it that that's what it was like. But it's a lot of fun to pretend. And you can tell Robert McCammon loves these characters. He gets choked up when he talks about them. So that's it for this time. Hope to see you again next time. And in the meantime, stay frosty.